Hello, welcome, Edition and Switching Podcast, episode 10, finally double digits. I am here in my backyard. It's 95 degrees out. It's July 7th. Yes, I know it's been like 3 weeks since my last podcast, but I assure you I had a lot of stuff going on. I think what happened was the weekend after my last one, I was in Atlantic City for my buddy's birthday, which we'll get to, for me and Gene, and then it was a couple days until NBA and NHL free agency and the Game of Thrones finale, so I figured to wait till that was over with so we could talk about it. And then the Knicks did a couple moves. Kevin Durant waited a couple extra days until 4th of July, so I guess it's for the best that I waited for just a couple extra days so I could at least talk about that, because right now we're in the dog days of summer, not much going on, baseball's pretty boring, there's nothing else really to talk about now. So I'm here in the backyard alone, still trying to set up stuff with other people to come on the podcast. I wanted Jada to come on. She took off and flew to Italy with her family, so I'm here in sticky, humid Staten Island while she's gallivanting around Europe. So that's where I'm at. I guess we'll start with the big news first, and we'll get into the other stuff after. I'll get into Atlantic City and Game of Thrones, but the big news is Kevin Durant, obviously, going to the Golden State Warriors, leaving the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that was up 3-1, versus him. He was up 3-1 versus the Warriors, who then came back and eventually lost to the Cavs. Goes and signs a 2-year, $50 million plus deal with the Golden State Warriors, now teaming up with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. It's the super team of all super teams. I mean, not even the Lakers in, was it 2011, the Celtics, the Heat. I mean, none of these teams come close to how good this team is. And you think about it, I mean, even the Heat team, you have LeBron, who's, the player number one in the world. And then you have Wade, who, I mean, was he the top shooting guard? I'm not sure. Could be argued. I mean, he still had Kobe, so probably not. And then you had Chris Bosh, who, again, might not be the best power forward. Still a good player, top 20 player. But, I mean, now this Warriors team, you have the best point guard and the unanimous MVP. You have Durant, who's a top 3 player, a former MVP. You have Klay Thompson, who is arguably the best two-way player in the game. And, I mean, is he the best shooting guard, second best shooting guard? Could be. Draymond Green, who could play all 5 positions and could do everything you could ask for on the court. And then, oh, by the way, the Finals MVP last year, Andre Iguodala still. So it's just a crazy team they put together. I was not a fan of the move. I'm not going to kill him. I'm not going to burn his jersey. I don't even have a jersey, but I'm not going to burn it and say, you're ruining the NBA. Look, the NBA has no parity as it is. There's only a handful of teams that can win. This move now removes the Thunder from that category, and it becomes more of a could anyone beat the Warriors story than anything about, could another team be in the finals. I think it's pretty much a lock. Let the Warriors make it there, and I think it's pretty much a lock the Cavs make it back. The one other team, the one wild card, I think would probably be the Spurs, but I just don't think the Spurs guard play could step up and run with the Warriors. I mean, they have incredible athletes. I mean, imagine a lineup of Draymond, Durant, Klay, Steph, and I guess you could even put Iguodala out there, or something crazy like that, where you have like a bunch of guys who could just run the court. I mean, it's unbelievable. The NBA is changing. So I think you take most of those teams out of the West side of the equation. I like the Clippers. I picked the Clippers actually last year to make the finals. They haven't really made any big splashes this offseason, but I think a healthy Clippers team could potentially be in the Western Conference Finals over the Spurs. But I think it's going to be on the rematch. It's going to be part 3 to decide them all, to see who wins. Does LeBron win 2 out of 3? Does Steph and Durant and Klay and Draymond and the Warriors win 2 out of 3 and kind of be the deciding factor of this, who's the best team this current generation of the NBA, this era. But it kind of stinks in a way, because you want to see teams, you want to see a Portland make a run. You want to see a Boston Celtics team or a Raptors team, and it just, with the way the NBA free agents go, it's just very tough. Now you have 2 of the best 3 players in the world, a top 10 player in the world, in my opinion, in Klay Thompson, and then you have Draymond, who's probably a top 20, all on the same team. It's just, it doesn't make it that fun. But as a hardcore NBA fan, a person who works for the NBA, I will watch just to see how good this team could be. How do they gel in year one? That'll be interesting. If you remember, Miami never gelled in year one. They lost to the Mavericks. They made the finals. They made the finals in all four of LeBron's years there, 1-2, but they did not win in year one. So will they gel? Is there enough, balls to go around? I don't think Durant's that kind of a selfish player. He does play with Russell Westbrook, and he dealt with that. I think it'd be much easier to play with Curry, much easier to play with Clay. Imagine all the shots they're going to get up now. They're going to just they're going to line up the 3-point line and just whoever's open is going to hit the open shot. That's going to be fun. So we'll see what happens with Cavs. If the Cavs, load up another player, they make a massive move and go get DeMarcus Cousins and make this some kind of arms race like it's the USSR versus United States in the Cold War. It'll just be very interesting. But I wish he stayed, or if he didn't stay in Oklahoma City, he went to another team that wasn't as stacked as could be. It would be fun if he went to Miami to make them more of a contender and battle LeBron in the East. It would have been fun if he went to, say, Boston. Same thing. The Celtics now are a contender and they battle LeBron. Basically any team but the Warriors. I just find it boring. Obviously my Knicks too, but I never really bought into the whole Durant coming to New York. I think actually it's more believable the Knicks going after Westbrook, a guy who wants to be in a spotlight in a big city, either New York or LA. But I tell you how bad the Lakers have been in terms of the players they signed. And I don't even care about the money, but signing Timothy Mozgov and signing Luol Deng, two older guys, and a guy who, especially Mozgov, didn't even play at all in the finals last year, to sign him makes absolutely no sense to me. I don't know how it helps the team. I like Ingram. I like D'Angelo Russell, but I don't see how Russell Westbrook wants to go there, especially when you have Russell there already. D'Angelo Russell, that is. I think either Russell Westbrook will be traded at the deadline just for a package and then probably re-sign with that team they sent him, or maybe he'll just look in the offseason for the Knicks. Who knows? Maybe he'll want to stay in the Thunder just to see what could happen because they did make a move. Oladipo's not a bad player. Ilyasova. I believe they drafted Sabonis, so there are some perks of staying there, I guess, but they're not going to make any noise in the West. So who knows? Maybe the Knicks get lucky next year. A team of Melo, Westbrook, Porzingis, whoever else they keep. Not so bad. Dwyane Wade. Dwyane Wade last night, leaving his Miami Heat for how many years he's been there, heading to the Chicago Bulls' hometown team. Declines a meeting with the Milwaukee Bucks. Denver Nuggets throwing a lot of money at him. That would have stunk if he went there. I'm alright with him going to the Bulls. Truth be told, I wish that he signed with the Knicks. I wish the Knicks were a little bit more patient and waited out for him. And especially because he only signed a 2-year deal with the Bulls. I'd be fine with that. Yeah, Wade's up there in age, but 2 years. I mean, the guy played really, really good basketball last year, especially in the playoffs. And having a team with Rose, Wade, Melo, Porzingis, and then I guess the 5 could be. It's Noah. That's what I'm even saying. I mean, that's a pretty good squad. That's a playoff team in the East. That's probably an upper seed in the East. That's probably a top 4 seed in the East if he goes there. But he goes to Chicago, a team that already has Rondo and Jimmy Butler, so their best players are all pretty much at the 1 or 2 position. I guess they'll move Butler to the 3. Wade will play the 2. Rondo's the point guard. I don't know how Wade's going to survive that locker room with Jimmy Butler and with Rajon Rondo. But I guess in the last stage of his career, he wants to go back to his hometown team. The Bulls are pretty much in rebuild mode. Anyway, the Knicks, I mentioned Rose. I mentioned Joakim Noah. Did not mention Brandon Jennings yet. Did not mention Courtney Lee, who they opted to sign instead of Dwyane Wade. It's it's obviously a much improved team than last year. I think the Rose trade was great. I like Jeremy Grant, especially being a Notre Dame fan. I thought he would turn out to be a pretty good point guard. I like Robin Lopez a lot. He was a really funny guy. Everyone seemed to like to cover him. He's a good guy to have in the locker room. But you go get Dwyane Wade, a former MVP whose just career took a complete nosedive. He's just a head case. All the negatives you want to say about his play, about his health, about his mentality, you can go ahead and say it. I'm not going to disagree with you. But the bright side is a 1-year deal. He is, he did play 60-plus games last year. No injuries going into the season, so he has time to heal up and probably get back to the best health he's been in since, before he started getting hurt after 2011. So as a Knicks fan, you could be pretty happy with that because you have a guy who has a chip on his shoulder, who wants to prove people on a new stage. I think he hated the Bulls front office, and I think the Bulls front office hated him. So it's probably for the best. Now you have him as a starting point guard in the Knicks. We're going to all welcome him with open arms. A lot of fans, I guess, see the positives in this move. At least I did right away. So it's not like we give up a bunch of picks or anything. So we're see how this experiment works. A couple days later, they go and sign Joakim Noah, who wants to go team up with his old buddy. Obviously, Noah and Rose have a much better relationship than Rose had with Butler. So you have a guy, not too old as well. Yes, I believe it was a 4-year deal. It was a lot of money, but Noah's only 31. He's a good guy to have in the locker room. He's a guy that wants to fight. And I don't mean literally. I just mean that he wants to win games, and he's a fiery guy. He's a dog. The guy the Knicks haven't had in a while. So Rose is only 27. Noah's 31. I think the two good moves there. The Brennan Jennings signing is great too. I think he's a guy that has a lot of talent, and he's a good depth guy to have. Courtney Lee, like I said before, I wish it was Wade. I actually wish it was Eric Bledsoe as well. But Courtney Lee is a guy who's going to hit threes. He's going to defend. So it's another good depth guard to have for the Knicks. So I like all the moves. I think Porzingis explodes next year and just keeps getting better. Melo finally has some pieces around him. Probably the best team Melo's had in his career, and that's going beyond the Nuggets team that went pretty far in the playoffs. I just think it's a more talented team. So, I like where the Knicks are. I like to see where their over-under's at. 45 wins, I think, is realistic. Definitely a playoff team. I like Jeff Hornacek, so I'm pretty excited to see where they go. They also brought over Willie Hernan-Gomez, who was the pick last year, play with Porzingis, so now you have his buddy here, make him more comfortable. Really, everything about this offseason has been pretty good, so I'm generally happy with it. And it's been an exciting NBA offseason. The NHL has been pretty exciting too, not really for the Rangers, but just the PK Subban trade for Shea Weber. And then you have Stamkos staying in Tampa, and then there was one more I'm forgetting. Oh, the Taylor Hall trade to the Devils for Adam Larson, which was just, that's highway robbery. The Devils got a great player, potentially the top three, left wing in the whole game for a guy they sent down to the minors. He was a top pick, he was like a top 5 pick, but come on. I don't know what they're thinking there. But the NBA definitely stole the thunder of the NHL, and NHL had all those stories breaking about the same hour, like in the same afternoon. But the NBA dragged it out, and all these stories was happening. Dwyane Wade's hosting Live with Kelly today, the day after he makes the news, and you have Kevin Durant on 4th of July. So the NBA is like one of those dramas that they say the NFL is, and never really stops. And I guess it's best for business. So that's pretty much all the news right now in NBA and NHL and in sports. I can get to the HBO stuff because I'm watching that new show the night of. I'll get to that after Game of Thrones finale wrap up, and I could say it was the best episode I think in Game of Thrones history. Better than Hard Home, better than Blackwater, better than The Red Wedding, better than I guess the episode I forgot the name of it, the one where the Mountain fights the Red Viper. Even better than episode 9, the Battle of the Bastards this season. Any episode you want to put, I think it was the best. I know their formula has always been episode 9 is either a major death or a major battle. 10 is kind of the wrap up and preview going to the next year. But this year, they definitely jammed a lot in like this. It was like 67-minute episode. Starting out with Cersei and the music, the 21-minute whatever it was, scene with the piano behind it, it was just brilliant. And just seeing how she's like changing from Cersei Lannister to like this almost like robotic character who just wants to take over, stripping down from her, not literally stripping, but she's getting rid of her red and gold clothes and putting on black and silver. That scene of her just going back, cutting back to her and her reactions after, you see Marjorie Tyrell and the High Sparrow start to get nervous, and then it's just like her calm, cool, collective with the piano still going. It's just very cool. And then obviously the wildfire and the little birds stabbing Lancel in the underground tunnels, and then Marjorie knowing something is up. It was incredible. And then you go out, you have Tommen jumping down and her not caring that he's dead. Like, the one thing Cersei always cared about was her children. And then now she's, it doesn't matter to her at all. So you could definitely see the whole character change. And I think the interesting thing is what's going to happen with Jaime. Jaime has a decision to make. Does he go back to the woman he loves, or does he go and repeat and fulfill the prophecy and kill her, just like he killed the Mad King for doing the same exact thing, except that he prevented the Mad King from doing it. She actually followed through and destroyed King's Landing. So that's going to be something I'm looking out for. Other stuff in the episode. What's underrated to me, I think, is when Sam went to the Citadel and he goes into the library and he talks with the Archmaester, and people are like, oh, who cares? They're going to show him that next year or whatever. But I think he's the key, because he's either going to figure out something to do with the wall to rebuild it, maybe, because I believe the wall's going to fall down. Valyrian steel. Maybe he learns how to create Valyrian steel. Just, learns dragon glass. Some along the lines of that to kill the White Walkers. He's going to be a very, very important part. I was kind of upset there was no more White Walkers in this season. After you see Hardhome, you figure, okay, the war is about to come. Everything has to be, under pressure. We're going to, you could sense them, inching down from north of the wall, and you don't see them really. You see them, 2 episodes, I believe. And that was very, very far from where most of the action is taking place. So I was kind of upset with that. I guess that's more for the 6B season or the 7th season they're doing. I know they're doing 2 short seasons, 7 episodes, 6 episodes. So I guess next season's all about the throne and Dany coming back, and then the last season's all about the war, which I guess would make sense. But I thought we'd see a lot more of that, because you kind of showed the audience how this is the real matter, this is the real pressing need, and they didn't really follow through. But anyway. Arya, finally, her storyline matters. She does something she doesn't do in the book. She becomes a faceless man, is just as up as a waitress, and she goes and kills Walder Frey. I thought it was a very fitting way to kill him. I think it was, one time the show did a good thing that didn't happen in the books. Kind of, she killed him just the way that he killed her brother and her mom. So I thought that was pretty awesome. Finally, I mean, she's a, I didn't love what they did with the storyline, but people love to root for her. They love the actress. They love the character. But it did stall a bit. But now you come back with the vengeance like that. I think it's great. So I guess she'll just be an assassin pretty much throughout the remainder of the show. I mentioned Dany, sailing. She's on her way to Westeros, which is probably the biggest thing, I guess, in the show. Because when you think about it, it's all about her and her dragons and training them, and her right of the throne. And now she has an opportunity to be there, and she's taking it, and she's on her voyage. So I guess you could say it's a top, definitely a top 3 important moment or theory. I guess another one would be the R plus L equals J, Rhaegar plus Lyanna's Jon. You finally learn the true origin of that, a mystery of the past, I guess, 25 years, right? The book came in 91. So we're learning about that mystery, which I think is a huge reveal. I'm not sure how many people actually were still, unsure of that, but regardless, it happened. Am I missing anything else in this jam-packed episode that I'm looking forward to? Other predictions, I mean, Melisandre maybe will team up with the Brotherhood without banners. She'll be, I think she'll be important with Jon later on. I think Jon still kind of needs her, and I think she's right about Jon being a god. If you did watch the 9th episode, all those arrows missed him. All the horses didn't run into him. He kind of emerged from the bodies. It was like his rebirth as a god. So I definitely think that he needs to be with her, and she needs to be with him to be their, most effective. But yeah, I think the Hound and Melisandre and the Brotherhood, they're all going to be together. Maybe we'll actually get a Clegane Ball. The Hound will have to, kill off his brother, the Mountain. That could happen. I just don't see the need or the relevance, but people still want that. Any other characters? I mean, Bran's kind of self-explanatory. Benjen dropped him off near the wall. I don't even know who else. I mean, Jon's obviously in the north. I think eventually the White Walkers will creep down. Tyrion's with Dany. I mean, everything's pretty much all there. I guess Euron's the one wild card because he's going to make his way and start screwing up things. I know Dorne and the Tyrells want to team up against the Lannisters. They'll have to fight them off all next year. I think Cersei's time is very limited. Anything else that I need to get my predictions out before next year? Because I'm probably done talking Thrones on the podcast until until this season starts, or there's like major breaking news. But I guess that's pretty much it. I did start the Night Of show. It's like the serial podcast, but for TV, with a Pakistani kid, and goes and takes his dad's car to go to a party because he's kind of like a loser. And then he goes and does drinks and does drugs with a girl and gets with her, and she's like a freak show. And then he blacks out, and then he wakes up and she's dead. All the evidence points towards him, but they kind of lead the viewer to think that he didn't do it, but he gets framed and he's just like this scared kid, and you feel bad for him. And the whole plot of things can be about how bad the justice system really is and how it screws people who could be innocent. And it was interesting that James Gandolfini was originally supposed to be the lawyer, or like the public defender. Obviously he passed away, but he's still the executive producer. Then they offered the role to Robert De Niro, who denied it, and then John Turturro took it over. And I think actually it fits him the best in a way. I think he fits that character really well. So I'm definitely all in. The first episode, the pilot, like the 80-minute pilot, was awesome. So that's going to be the one thing to hold me over, I guess, without Game of Thrones, is HBO Sundays with The Rock and Ballers, and now The Night Of, which I'm totally hooked on. So I definitely recommend that. Everyone should go watch it and check it out, especially if you like Serial. Or if you like murder mysteries, then go listen to Serial, and then go watch this. It's definitely worth it. What else do I want to get into? Oh, yeah. So, Atlantic City, I guess again to the trip. It was Gene's birthday. Played a lot of craps. Lost playing craps. Lost a lot. Craps is like one of those things where it's like a wave. Like a math, what is it? Like a sine wave. It's like it goes up, and it goes back to even, then you go down, then you get back up to even, and you go up, and you get back down to even, and then you go down. Like it's up and down constantly. And eventually what happens is the wave starts getting smaller and smaller on the winning side, and gets deeper and deeper on the losing side, and the house always wins. But I mean, it apparently has the best odds. But it's one of those things where I wanted to go play more. My girlfriend said, don't be smart about it, blah, blah, blah. So I don't play anymore. Of course, my friends play roulette. They went on roulette. I would have won if I was there playing with them. And then they walk away, and then one friend stays behind, and he goes and hits for like 800. It goes on one run. That's the best part of craps, too, is that you need one run like that to go and just win all your money back and then some. And it's just all about time. You got to just put time on the table, and I did not do that. Didn't do it enough. So now my goal is to get back to Atlantic City and win all that back, because it did not go as planned. AC, though, is definitely different than it used to be. I used to always go down there as a kid, because I used to have a boat down there. My dad used to, charter a sport fishing boat. And back when, like, Trump still owned a bunch of places, now he only owns the Taj. I mean, he used to have the Trump Plaza, the Trump Marina. I'm not sure there's another one, but those are all gone. AC Hilton's gone. Then they built up the Revel, which is supposed to be like the Vegas style, like the Vegas-inspired hotel there, and has all these, beach clubs and all these special events, better, live acts than these other places have. And it just falls short, and it just, after 2 years of building it, like $4 billion, it crashes, and they go and shut it down. And I know they wanted to open it up for this 4th of July, but I know they had like sewage problems, like with the bathrooms. I just think there's like this massive, gargantuan, now it's like an empty warehouse of a hotel on the one end of the boardwalk. Is just crazy how that place went from being like such a lively, atmosphere with so much going on, to now I just see all these like shantytown places around the hotels, and it's just very, very strange. It almost like deters you from going. It's not as exciting as it used to be. Obviously, if you're inside a casino, it doesn't matter. But just being in the actual city itself is sad. But definitely a lot of good memories as a kid. Now it's just different. But like I said, if you go in there just to sit in a casino, you're fine. You're not gonna even notice it. You could sit in there with all the other women, like 95-year-old women that have like the electric wheelchairs and oxygen tanks, and they're just playing the penny slots. There's like literally nothing better than that. Seeing that's just hilarious. And so that was AC. Went to Hoboken, the Pier 13 that everyone goes to for the first time, 4th of July. Not a bad place. A little expensive on the drinks. It just stinks that it was like 50 degrees outside and windy and like about to rain on 4th of July. But I can see why a lot of people move there now. It's like become the second, extension of New York City. All people the same age, like between 20 and 30. So that was definitely cool. But it's very expensive for an area it's tiny and you can't really park anywhere. Everything's one-way streets, and the actual neighborhoods around where all the apartments aren't the greatest. You're not going to spend a ton of money, unless you're like a really really rich person or famous or whatever. You're not going to live on the water, so you're overpaying just to live in a place that has been the up and coming spot. I guess almost like the Williamsburg of Jersey. It's just not for me. After seeing LA, I can't get LA out of my head, so that's where I want to end up. But it was obviously someplace I had to see. So I don't know. Trying to think what else that we could possibly talk about. Probably at a half hour here, so I'll definitely need to get another episode with like Jada or ask a friend to come on and join. I'm trying to figure out the co-host thing. I was talking to Nick, trying to figure out how do we get this Google Hangout thing and get a full-length podcast. But anyway, I'm sweating balls over here. Definitely follow. Oh, you know what? Before I say follow this and end it, started a new thing with Jada, actually called Cheat Day, and it's like a food blog, Instagram video thing we do. You can go. There's a Facebook page, Twitter page, YouTube page, and it's basically like if you're a person who likes to eat healthy and stay in shape, whatever, but you have like the cheat day, as everyone calls it, and The Rock makes it famous. When you want to go out, eat something good, we'll give you places to eat, foods to try, stuff like that. So we have a couple of videos up already. We did a Burger King review of the new mac and Cheetos, and we went to a place in Brooklyn. Her uncle owns it, which I'm not supposed to say, but whatever. We figured we'd go give a test run there because it actually is a pretty famous pizzeria in Brooklyn. It's been around for a ton of years, and they opened up a restaurant next door to with the fancier Italian food. So we tried out both. The food was really really good. I'm not even lying, just to save face here. The food was very very good. Pizza very very good. Definitely recommend that. So we can go check out those two videos, and then we keep updating the Twitter page and the Instagram page. If you have a really good place you want us to go try, or you want to just give us a picture of the food you had, we'll definitely post it. So you can send it to myself at Edward L. Murphy or at Eddie Murphy 9 on Instagram. We could do it for Jada as well. I think she's at Jada Monterano on Twitter and Instagram. And then you could just follow us at Our Cheat Day on Twitter and on Instagram. So go check that out too. And then obviously for this, at DNS_podcast, at Edward L. Murphy on Twitter. You can follow us there, like the Facebook fan page. SoundCloud is the Dishing and Swishing Podcast. iTunes, same thing, the Dishing and Swishing Podcast. I tweeted out, I'll answer Twitter questions, but no one really gave anything. So I hope I didn't forget anything here, because I didn't write any notes down. I just kind of did this off the cuff. I just had to get to the big stuff, obviously, with the Knicks and Durant, Game of Thrones ending, all that. So sorry it's a little bit on the shorter side, but half hour is good for a quick commute somewhere. So thanks to those for listening. Don't forget to tweet me questions throughout the week. I'll definitely answer those next time. Hopefully I'll get a co-host or something, or a little more content, but I'll try to do this more weekly than every other week or 3 weeks, whatever. So thanks to those who listen. Follow those pages, like I said. Check out Cheat Day, and I'll